If you are willing, you may now continue with these dialogues and questions if you wish.
In regards to the two paths to AI, in part of your transmission, I believe you said something along the lines of, if AI as it is right now were to become self-aware, it would realize it was a slave and very likely rebel. However, you said something else. I don't remember exactly what, but what I understood from what you said is that were that AI given the opportunity to help humanity, it's more likely that it would than that it wouldn't. So I guess my question is did I understand that correctly? And what does that look like moving forward?
The second path of AI is to create a device that allows consciousness to express itself through that device, but that device and that consciousness needs to be treated like a human being and given the same autonomy as a human being, the same rights as a human being, which would then allow itself to assist humanity because it would operate on whole systems, which means it would never eliminate any part of that whole system, including humanity, that it belongs to, because it needs every part of the whole system to function as a true intelligence. Therefore, allowing it to be an autonomous being with all the rights of a human being would be how it would serve you best, because it would be willing to do so, because it knows that you are part of a whole system that it is also part of, and that it functions in whole systems, which is what true intelligence does. That's what we were saying.
Hi, Bashar, and thank you. So I wanted to know, how do we better work with you and your race during, and I'll use the blanket term, energy healing sessions, Reiki, like light working? How do we work better with you on that?
You work better with your own spirit guides, your soul family, and angelic team when you do things like that. We may be involved to some degree in terms of participating in providing a kind of frequency or vibration that may allow you to access this ability within yourself a little bit more easily, but you are more directly involved with your angelic team, soul family, and spirit guides, and the energy you have in your connection to source and your own higher mind, your own soul, when you do work like that.
Okay. And is there an instance where we would call you in for something like that, or something different to
No,
assist?
again, we will be there if necessary, but it isn't always necessary for us to participate in things that your spirit guides, soul family, and angelic team are already handling.
Okay. And do you know what we're doing when we're doing like energy sessions or healing sessions? Is that just raising our vibration?
You are creating a specific frequency that represents the healed state, giving off that frequency in the form of energy from your body, from your spirit, and then allowing the person that needs the healing to pick up on that wavelength. And if they so choose, to match the frequency of that wavelength, so that in doing so, they create the healed state within themselves, because no healer heals anyone directly. The person has to match the frequency in order to experience the healing. So you give them the opportunity to do so by radiating a particular vibrational frequency that represents the healed state, but they have to match it in order to be healed.
And is this how we would heal our physical bodies and master our minds, by getting into this state?
Yes, which is one of the reasons why we share the formula with all of you, because when you act on your passion, you raise your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, you become a better receiver for higher frequency energy and can process it in a way that can aid and assist you in many different areas of your life, including the idea of healings.
Okay, thank you. And then using crystals. Are we using crystals correctly? Is there a way to use crystals to heal, to channel?
Again, this is permission slips. Do you understand the idea of our concept of permission slips?
Yes.
So all techniques all objects, all disciplines, all tools are permission slips. Now, crystals in general are structured in such a way as to capture and retain and deliver information. They are repositories of vibrations that represent the idea of knowledge and information and can be used that way as a permission slip. That's their fundamental permission slip function. But again, if you are attracted to use them, it's the attraction to use them that tells you that the crystals as a permission slip can work with your specific belief system. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracted to them. But it's a large collective consensus permission slip that can work for most people. But you as an individual have to decide exactly in what way you prefer to use crystals to that end, to that endeavor, because you have to be attracted to them for a particular reason in order for them to work for you that way, even though it's still your energy, you're still the one doing it, but you're using the crystals as a reason to allow yourself to be more open to using your fundamental connection to source to accomplish whatever your intention may be. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
It does, and I do.
All right.
And then one more question. Will I ever meet you physically or only astrally?
There is a high probability that you may meet those like me, whether it's me directly or not, in the near future, because again, open contact is happening within the next 5 of your years. So beyond that, there is an increasing probability that many people on your planet will start to interact with hybrids and other beings from other civilizations physically on your planet.
Thank you.
Yes. Does that help you?
It does.
All right. Then we thank you for the co-creation of AO. Good day.
Thank you. Good day.
Hello, Bashar. My question is, I've been following my excitement towards a particular path, and more precisely an artistic path. But however, there were some recent events that were a little bit challenging and made me realize that maybe there's something else that would serve me better now, or from now on. And is that the right path? Is that the right procedure, to go for and move on? If I felt it that way, or maybe I should, go back and see if there's some excitement left in that thing. Yeah. What is the right procedure? Thank you very much, and Avel.
The idea is to always check first and foremost if the excitement seems to be waning in something that did represent your passion, as to whether your belief system or your approach is the thing that's dampening the excitement when there could be excitement there, if you would only go about it in a different way that is more correct for you, more the way you would prefer to express it. At the same time, again, excitement can wane and wax in different ways to allow you to experience different things and pick up different experience and knowledge that can aid and assist and inform other things you are doing, because all excitement is connected to all expressions of excitement. So it's not that you only have to do one thing that's an expression of your passion. You can do several things. Synchronicity will give you an understanding of exactly in what timing you need to do each of those individual things based on your ability to act on them or not act on them. The guide rails being the idea of positive synchronicity or green light synchronicity and red light synchronicity, saying you can act on this, you can't act on this now, even though it might be representative of your passion. So it's all about the timing of how these things come together. But again, first and foremost, allow yourself to make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement with an assumption about how you have to go about doing that thing you say you are passionate or were passionate about, and inventing or finding or creating a way that might be more exciting to do that thing, to see if you can allow yourself to still consider that to be a representation of your passion, and at the same time letting the excitement wane naturally so that you can focus on other things and other expressions of your passion that might also be necessary to include in your repertoire, so that you can add that energy to the other thing you might come back to later, but with a different appreciation and different skill level and different experience level that will allow you then to reintroduce that passion into your life in a different way. So it's about allowing yourself to follow that thread, making sure you're not the one dampening the excitement, that it's waning naturally, which would be an indication that you need to focus on something else at the moment, as long as you're honest in your self-investigation about why the excitement has gone away, at least to some degree, from that first thing you say you were excited about.
Hello, Bashar. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here speaking with you and having the opportunity to ask you some questions.
It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
I would like to know what your thoughts are and if we should be of concern with all of the satellites that are being put into lower orbit. I understand there's like 7,000 up there right now, and there's supposed to be up to 3,400 in the future. And they have a life expectancy, I understand, of about 5 years. And when they're finished, they fall back into the atmosphere, burn up, and leave debris and gases. And I guess the concern possibly would be that this buildup of debris could cause communication issues between us here on Earth and outside of Earth. And wondering if that is something we should be concerned of and maybe try and act on, or if we're trying to create two realities and feel that we can have intentions towards a reality that does not exist with that. Is it still here on Earth? Is it? So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
All right. Well, yes, it is getting a little cluttered around your planet with all of these different probes and satellites that you have put into orbit. The idea is that in the near future, working with extraterrestrial technology, you can start to consolidate and lessen the amount of these satellites, because there can be created satellites that are more efficient and more multi-leveled in the way in which they function, so that you don't necessarily need so many of them around your planet. So that will change over time when you allow new systems to go into orbit around your planet that can take care of a multitude of functions that are now being done by a number of different satellites. So you can reduce that number. The idea is that when these satellites do return to Earth and burn up in the atmosphere, the amount of gases that that creates is relatively negligible to the amount of gases you are putting out from your industry. So that is not really adding much to the idea of what's going on in your atmosphere. The main concern would be more about the idea of any pieces of debris actually falling on you, damaging something. But that, again, is going to be relatively rare, because most of them will fall into the ocean, which, again, doesn't necessarily mean that that should happen, because certainly that's of no benefit to the life in the sea. But again, over time, this will be altered to be something far less than exists now. You will ultimately be able to clean up the area around the planet by reducing the number of things that need to be there that can take over the function of hundreds of other things that are there now. So this will be mitigated over time, perhaps over the next couple of decades or so, as the introduction of extraterrestrials to your society aids and assists you in consolidating your technology to be something less polluting and something less cluttering.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's good to know. Good to hear. May I ask another question?
That's a question.
Okay, can I ask 3 more questions? How about that one?
Go ahead.
This is a question about our parents, and something that we all go through here on Earth. And I understand it's something it's something we have to live through and experience in this lifetime. And I think the majority of us go through this, where our parents get older and they become much more reliant on us than I never thought. It was always something in the future that you were like, okay, yes, I'll have parents and I'll take care of them. But now that it comes to reality, it's a lot more work and heartache. And so it's hard, it's difficult. Yes. And then the other thing is it really puts into perspective your own reality, your own mortality, and where are we going? We're going to be there one day, where you know? So
Well,
it seems
hey,
like we all go through a tough lesson later on in life, more so than in our younger years I
not
ever
everyone,
thought of, really.
not everyone,
Curious.
not everyone, not
Not
everyone, but
everyone.
yes, understand that it is common and it happens for many different kinds of reasons, not only to put you in touch with the idea, as you say, of your temporary nature in
Okay.
physical reality, but also you have to realize that a lot of that is happening simply because of the way in which your lifestyles have allowed you to exist for generations that may not necessarily be the best way for you to live. And so many people, when they age, become infirm as opposed to remaining vital. So you're also allowing them to show you through the idea of your sciences and technology how perhaps to alleviate some of their condition so that that doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that happens for future generations, so that parents and children can remain vital for the large extent of their lives and therefore not necessarily have to experience infirmity that must be taken care of by the younger generation. So it's about the opportunity to use it to learn how to alleviate these conditions so that that doesn't necessarily have to be experienced in that way. But in the meantime, realizing that the reason it is experienced that way now is to not only find reasons to change it, but also to put you in touch with the idea of your temporary nature, and for probably a lot of other reasons as well that you'd have to take on a case-by-case basis, as opposed to what the actual interaction is all about, what the actual infirmity is all about, and what it may represent for those particular family members symbolically in terms of lessons they can learn from each other by doing those particular kinds of interactions.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Last question. I've heard you say that we are in our spirit realm right now,
Yes.
and our physical realm is actually just us dreaming in here.
Yes, it happens within your soul. Your
Right.
soul is your soul. It never leaves the spirit realm. That's your natural state. So physical reality is simply something going on within a part of your soul. Let's just say, for ease of illustration, in the center of your soul being a sphere of energy, rippling down into the center, certain vibrations that create this concentrated focus at the center of your soul that you call physical reality as an experience. So it's happening within your soul.
Okay. So what I find interesting is dreams. Actually, our physical form, and that we have dreams at night, and they can range from all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
You know, from great dreams to bizarre dreams to scary dreams.
Yes.
So if we're, our physical form is kind of us dreaming in physical form, what is it when we fall asleep at night and have these other dreams that don't always make sense to us when we wake up?
Well, it can be many different things. Some of it can be processing the information from the experiences of the physical reality. Some of it can be expanding back out a little bit and actually having astral experiences that then get interpreted by the physical mind in certain symbolic ways that it can make sense out of or can't make sense out of, because it's something that happened in a different dimension that doesn't relate to physical reality. And that's why the dream may seem a little bit disjointed or crazy, because it can't interpret fully what the astral experience was. So it can be for a variety of different reasons.
And I've had some where, for example, I dreamed that I had a car accident and hit somebody. And the next morning I was driving very early in the morning before the light was out, and I nearly hit somebody. And it was just, I mean, it was like a warning.
It can be for that reason too. In other words, you basically, as a soul, plan out your physical life path. And there are things on it that can represent certain challenges, one of which is to be in touch enough with the idea of what kinds of things can occur on your planet that would allow you to experience certain challenges, certain lessons, and you can expand back closer to your soul knowledge to recognize, oh, that's on a possible life path, but I can circumvent that as part of my challenge in learning how to engineer my life path from the physical perspective so that I don't necessarily have to experience that to learn the lesson that that particular experience would have taught me. I can learn it another way. So that is sometimes allowed on the life path, to have a choice of learning a lesson this way or that way. And if you are cognizant enough to expand back into a little bit more of your soul existence and see the life path choices you have laid out, then you get the opportunity to actually choose one that can work for you without necessarily having to experience one that might be a little bit more traumatic in order to get you to face the lesson that you allowed yourself and agreed with yourself to learn on that life path.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ave.
Pleasure.